Hey everyone, so welcome to the non-gun bunch version of or portion of the ebook. Pretty much in this portion, it's going to be all about Redzone and the running game, and then some other random stuff. But honestly, 99% of the time, I'm in gun bunch or gun bunch tight end, and so pretty much, a lot of the ebook is going to be in that gun bunch tight end video. 35 minutes long about a lot of different setups for a handful of plays out of the formation and a lot of different motions and different looks that you can give the defense. So a lot of the stuff's going to be in that video, but this is going to specialize more on red zone and the running game if you're trying to milk the clock away, whatever situation it might be. But start things off. So my favorite red zone play in this playbook probably is gun bunch verticals. And so this is a play that I've actually done a video on. Serious Mo was running this in the Mudhead League playoffs. And so the way I like to run it is I block Freeman, I drag Ridley, and I put Hooper on a curl. And so what I do is I motion Julio out. Now some people run this to the wide side. I've run it to both sides, and I just seem to have more success to the short side. So it could just be preference. You could try it out, and you could like the wide side better. It could just, be a preference thing. I don't know why, but I've had more success running it to the short side, so I'll go ahead and run to the short side. But right there, that's pretty much what you're looking for. You're going for the high point to Julio. As soon as you snap it, as soon as he cuts up field, just hold left bumper or L1 if you're on PS4, throw it to Julio, and try and get a high point. So basically, if your opponent doesn't have like at least two people out there, I'm throwing that ball every single time. If I have first and goal at the 6, I'm probably throwing that 3 times in a row if they don't respect it enough. If they never put another guy out there, I'm throwing that 3 times in a row, and I'm banking on Julio coming down with it once. If he doesn't come down with it, then good for my opponent. I'll take my 3, but odds are he's, most of the time he's going to end up catching one of those right there. Ryan sailed it a little bit over his head, but in most scenarios, you're going to end up getting this open down the sideline right there. Once again, Ryan sailed it, but I'll try to throw it one more time, and then I'll kind of talk about the other options on the play. Right there, I accidentally motioned Freeman. It's not what I wanted to do. So we're going to go ahead, once again, motion out Julio, snap it right before he gets set. High ball. Okay, we're actually going to go until Matt Ryan doesn't throw one into the Gatorade cooler. So once again, snap of the ball out here. Okay, well, Matt Ryan's just being a jerk right now. That's not something you're going to see very often in an actual game. I don't know if pass accuracy is just weird right now. But a lot of times that's stuff that you're going to see. Even though it looks contested, a guy like Julio, and I'm assuming guys like Randy Moss and stuff in Mutt are going to come down with these passes, a decent amount. More than expected whenever you're playing. Right there, it did get broken up. But that's something I like to go to a lot in the red zone because it does get stingy a lot of times. Against a good player, it's stingy down there, and it can be tough. And so that's something that, if there's a one-on-one, you take a shot, and, there might be, a 70% chance of Julio catching it. I'll take those odds over trying to, throw it over the middle and risk a bait and risk getting throwing an interception. It's a safe throw. It's not going to get intercepted. That's the main reason I like it. Now, the other reads on this play, so if you don't throw it to Julio, generally you're looking for a high point over the middle, either to Hall right there, and a lot of times I won't have Hall there. I'll have like Mohamed Sanu or somebody with at least a little bit of height. You want to throw right there because you don't want a high point to somebody who's short. But the next point you're looking for either a high point to Hall or a high point to your tight end in the back of the end zone. So if your opponent allocates a lot of resources to Julio, say you ran the wheel route and scored on it earlier, and they have a zone out there and man a guy up, and they're cheating out there with their user and stuff, then that's when you hit them over the middle. You have high point to Hall, you have a high point to Hooper, and then if they sink back too far, you can go ahead and throw that drag route to Calvin Ridley, spin up field, and try and get in the end zone. So you have 4 viable routes on a red zone play, which is tough to get. A lot of times, when somebody's trying to pass in the red zone, they really just have like one guy they're looking at, and if he's not open, they're in trouble. So this play gives you 4 viable options, and so it's very, very effective for that reason. Now, the other play, a special play, I'll say, that I only run in the red zone is going to be Singleback Bunch PA seam. And so we'll go ahead once again against just random nickel defenses just to match the personnel. And I would say I run this, anywhere inside the 10. You could probably run this. I like to go bunch to the wide side. And basically my adjustments are I block Freeman and I drag Ridley. And so it's kind of similar in that you have the drag, you have the deep cross like last time. This time we have Sanu running the deep cross. But the main route you're looking for here is obviously going to be Julio. And so Julio in the back of the end zone on that post route is really what you're looking for right there. You know, that looks like a tough catch. He's going to make that more times than not. So you want to high point that as soon as he cuts to the inside on that post route. That's when you want to throw it. Now, right here against man-to-man, you know, if they run man, if they try to like man blitz you, you can high point that crossing route a lot of times, and that's going to get good separation against man-to-man coverage. You don't even have to try and throw Julio's route. But against any type of zone coverage right there, I accidentally lobbed it. That would have probably been a completion if I didn't lob it. But that was on accident. You obviously want to bullet that pass. So right there, that's pretty much what you're looking for. You're looking for Julio to go flying up in the air, get a crazy animation, and then come down with the ball. Now, yeah, you know, both of these plays, this one and verticals, are both kind of predicated on you having a freakish receiver, you know, making plays right there. Matt Ryan sails it through the goalpost. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, if you're using a team in regs, a lot of teams will have a guy that you can use for this. If you're in MUT, obviously there's a lot of guys that you can use for this. A lot of people have, you know, guys like Randy Moss and whatnot. But, you know, if they run man-to-man, you have enough time for Calvin Ridley to cross the field, you can do that. Sometimes, you know, if I can look at the play art here, if, you know, the guys match, if the zone defenders match on the right side, sometimes they'll match to Julio and run to the back of the end zone, and you can wait, and Calvin Ridley will open up into some nice area. Right there, Julio just didn't get an animation. I probably threw that a little bit too late. If you throw it too late, a lot of times Julio will not animate. So you have to be careful with that right there. Back of the end zone. If you see guys sifting out to Julio, generally that means that the middle of the field's going to be more open than it normally is. And that's where you can really make your living right there. Telvin Smith came flying up the middle of the field. I wasn't able to get the ball off. But this is primarily what you're looking for, you know, with this play in the red zone. You want to throw that Julio route. Once again, it looks like verticals with the tough catches, but that's something that's going to be more consistent than it looks like it would be. So don't be afraid that he's going to drop that. A lot of times he will come down with that pass. Now, since I'm on Singleback Bunch, I'll go ahead and go over a little bit more. So pretty much I like to go with the slam and then the quick pitch as my audibles out of here. And so if I'm in the red zone, I'll come out in PA seam, but for demonstration's sake, I'll come out in halfback slam here. But it's a nice little 1-2 punch combo with the slam, which I like to playmaker to the right side, or I try to run it whichever way your quarterback is their dominant hand, basically. So if you're right-handed, you want to run to the right. If your quarterback's left-handed, if you're using like Michael Vick or something, run to the left. So you're just going to get a quicker handoff, and it's just going to be a good complement. It basically turns into a halfback dive, and it's a good complement to the quick toss, which I'll go ahead and show you guys in a second. But you can see you get pretty good blocking there, as long as you just don't get insta-block shedded, which is always a possibility because it's Madden. But you could also go with the quick pitch right here. This might not be the greatest of looks to run this play against, but right there, quick pitch, you know, make a guy miss. You know, they had good pursuit from the middle. Miles Jack was able to come over and make a play. But if your opponent is stuffing the middle for whatever reason, you do have room on the outside. The quick pitch is something that you can definitely go to and have a lot of success down in the red zone, or even if you're just milking the clock and trying to, you know, it's late game, you're trying to milk the clock right here. You know, this is kind of a tough look to run on in general. You can go with the quick pitch and try and get outside right there. I probably could have done a better job, pick up a few yards. If I had avoided the auto hurdle, I probably could have gotten a little more yardage there. But the slam/toss combo is pretty good. Right there, you can see the slam can be effective when run in the correct situations. And so that's pretty much the running game out of Singleback Bunch. So it's a great formation, rather, in the red zone, I would say, with the combination of a decent running attack with the slam and the quick pitch. And then you also have PA seam. Your opponent has to worry about the high point. You also have verticals out of that formation. So you can get fancy and run, you know, if we go to the plays, you have 4 verticals, which is the same thing as gun bunch. So you can do the same concept out of that as you're doing at a gun bunch and still have that in your arsenal as well. So very versatile formation down in the red zone. Probably my favorite whenever I get down like inside the 7-8 yard line is Singleback Bunch. Now, if we go back to gun bunch, I'll go ahead and go, because I want to show you guys all my setups. We'll go to verticals. And so there's 2 other ways that I'll run this play. You know, I don't run gun bunch very often, but if I do, if I'm stumped on offense, or if I just kind of want to open things up and show my opponent something new, then this is a play I go to a lot. So basically, there's two different ways that I like to run it. One is max protect and drag Calvin Ridley. And so basically, this is great against cover 2 if your opponent's running a lot of Tampa 2, or even just against random defenses. If your opponent is running a lot of zone, you can have a lot of success right here. If they run man-to-man, also the wheel route, if they don't have a deep safety, is absolute money. So just that's a quick tip in general. Wheel routes are generally very, very good this year against man-to-man coverage. But cover 2 especially, this is a great play. If they're in some other type of zone, then you still have the high-low between Ridley and Hall right there. Once again, they're in man-to-man coverage. And you can get a lot of separation on pretty much every route on the play against man-to-man. You have the drag, you have the deep cross, and like you just saw, you have the wheel. And it's pretty quick. So it's max protect and drag Ridley. So it's a play that, doesn't take a lot of time to set up. If they don't have a guy out in the flats, throw the wheel immediately every single time if they're not respecting that right side flat. A lot of people, if they're running something like cover 3, then sometimes that flat zone defender won't get out there quick enough, and you can just go ahead and snap throw it right there. That looked like maybe a cover 4, pick up 7 yards, just stay on schedule, get positive yardage. The other way I run this is I'll just streak Freeman. And so now you have 3 quick reads. You have, well, really you almost have like 4 quick reads. You have Freeman out the backfield, Hooper on his wheel, Hall immediately over the middle, and Julio in the right flat. So it's really tough for your opponent, especially if they're trying to send. This is great against like zone blitzes. So if your opponent's trying to send like 5 or 6 guys but play zone behind it, then a lot of times they can't user everything. So they have to pick. Do they want to go left side for Freeman, right side for Hooper, middle for Hall, flat for Julio? Like, they can't decide. And so this is a great thing to run against a heavy zone blitzer to kind of get them out of their groove and force them to either calm down and not blitz as much, or if they still want to keep blitzing, they're going to have to get a lot more aggressive and take away those deep zones. And then you can really, if you get the time in the pocket, you can hit them up top. So right here, what you're going to see right there, bam, Freeman out the backfield, 7-8 yards immediately. It's really just kind of reading. My first read is probably Freeman. And then if he's not open, I'll go over to Hooper. And then right here, like I see man-to-man coverage, try and squeeze that in maybe. Probably not against 2-man under. You probably don't want to throw that wheel route. You probably want to look for the deep crossing route. But right here, once again, so right there, I have Hooper over in the right seam. Not able to hold on the ball. Probably should have went with the possession catch there. But this is just kind of a great all-around setup for this play. Right there, that was actually an awful read. I had Austin Hooper wide open. I thought Miles Jack was going to shoot out to Hooper. But this is a great play, like I said, just to kind of get sacked apparently. But it's not something I run super often, but it is a play that you can get consistent yardage with, if your opponent is, like I said, sending a lot of pressure with zone blitzes. That's the primary time that I'll bring this play out, is if my opponent's really being reckless on defense with zone blitzes, and I even if I'm having trouble picking it up, or if I just want to get them to calm down, then I'll go ahead and throw this in every now and then just to kind of pop them real quick and say, okay, you got to calm down. You can't send 6 every play, or else I'm just going to, throw some quick dots on you. So that's pretty much all the setups for. And that's almost all I run out of Gun Bunch. The other way, or the other plays, I would say, are halfback base. So this is still just a solid run, in Madden 19. It was great in Madden 18. It was pretty good in Madden 17. So once again, just a solid run that I mix in every now and then out of this formation. And then Z-Spot. So Z-Spot, basically, I'll go ahead and just do what the meta does and max protect, fade Jones, drag Ridley. And you're pretty much looking for the corner out down the sideline. So that's similar to, like, if you watched the bunch tight end video, which I assume you guys did or are going to, then it's similar to inside switch with that corner out from the tight end in Gun Bunch tight end. So that's a corner route that's just going to get open a lot of times right there. I had to check it down because the pass rush was getting to me. But it's a route that if, you have enough time, it's going to get open. Obviously your opponent can user it, but if they don't user it and they're running zone, then that route's going to get open against every single zone right there. Hall gets open, 20-yard gain. So man-to-man's going to play it pretty well. You're going to pretty much have to either check it down to the drag or scramble if you get caught in man-to-man against this. But against zone coverage, you're going to have that ability right there to basically throw that corner out every single time. So that's pretty much Gun Bunch. Verticals, red zone setup, the max protect setup, the 5 route setup, and then Z-Spot halfback base. It's pretty much all that is. I went over Singleback Bunch for the red zone. Another good running formation that I'll run every now and then is wing slot. And so what I like to do is I go halfback plunge, I go halfback toss crack, and I'll actually come out in the halfback stretch. And so this formation I pretty much only use will go against random 4-3 formations for running the ball. I pretty much never pass the ball out of here. But basically, a lot of times I use the combo of the toss crack and the plunge. So the plunge is similar to like the slam from gun or Singleback Bunch rather, in that if you flip it to the right side or whichever side your quarterback's dominant hand is, it's like a halfback draw. So it's a very quick run. You can get upfield. If you don't get insta block shedded, then you can really do some damage. Now, the other great run is the toss crack, where it has an auto motion, which is kind of unfortunate, but tosses are great this year. You can get to the outside. Jukes are really good, as you can see right there. And so if you can make a guy or two miss, then you can really get a lot of yardage. Something you can supplement, since it is a toss crack with an auto motion, then something you can do is with the plunge, or if you run the stretch, I would say go ahead and motion him like normal. So I would motion him and snap him right there or whatever, just to kind of give the facade of you running the toss crack and having that motion, just so that every time they see the motion, they don't instantly say, oh, it's the toss. Like, you don't want them to be able to key in on that. So that's just a little tip. I would use the motion with every play. The stretch I don't run very often. Stretches stretches aren't really my thing this year for some reason, but you can run it maybe to the right side. Generally, if I'm going to run a stretch, I'm going to run it to the left out of this formation, as weird as it looks. Generally, if I go ahead and run it right there, as soon as I say stretches aren't my thing, it gets beautiful blocking, and Freeman breaks out of gang tackle. But generally, if my opponent is, say they're really, really crowding the right side because I've been tossing it on them, then that's when I'll usually flip the stretch to the left side and try and go stretch and then like juke back inside, because a lot of times you'll get like one-on-one blocks on the back side, and then you can, make a guy miss. Obviously, you don't want to run a stretch against a look like this. Against a look like this, I'd pretty much go toss every single time, because that's going to be the outcome. You're going to get really good yardage. Really, the only time I'm in this formation is whenever I'm trying to milk the clock, but something like this, maybe you could run like a stretch weak side, and then it turns into you trying to make a couple guys miss, and you just get some positive yardage and just let them know, like, hey, I can also run to the left. I'm not only able to run to the right or to the middle. I have the ability to flip this stretch play and run to the other side right there. I got tripped up. But that's pretty much another thing that I'll do, like late game. I'm trying to waste some clock, or if I'm in field goal range and I'm trying to burn my opponent's timeouts, that's something that you can do. Another formation, I'll go over two more for you guys here, is this gun, gun doubles Y off weak. And so basically the two plays are Owen trap and inside zone split. And so generally, I'll go Owen trap. So Owen traps are just pretty good this year. This is the same personnel as something like gun bunch tight end, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. So your opponent at breaking the huddle won't know exactly what you're coming out in. But once you come out in it, Owen traps, as you can see right there, get beautiful blocking, get upfield. A lot of times, you're 10 yards downfield before you even get touched. So obviously your opponent eventually is going to key in on the fact that you're running an Owen trap out of this formation, but it's a great look to either go to late in the game if you're trying to burn some clock, or if you just want to, if you see that your opponent's running a defense that looks susceptible to an Owen trap, I set this in my audibles at the beginning of the game, and so you can just audible to it, or you can just come out in it one play, and just to let your opponent know, like, hey, like, I see your defense is weak up the middle. I'm going to run this Owen trap on you. Just be careful about it. And then if they do start pinching whenever you come to this formation, or trying to play the Owen trap a little bit better, then you can go to the inside zone split, and you can kind of get to the outside a little bit more effectively, rather than trying to trap with the guard pulling and whatnot. So very similar. It's just another running formation. Really, I don't pass the ball out of here. It's pretty much Owen trap or inside zone split, and I'm just kind of reading the defense and looking at which run looks to be better in the given scenario. Only looking to run really out of the formation, and so that's just another look that I can provide for my opponent. Now the last one is going to be Singleback Wing Tight. And so what I like to do out of here is I'll go halfback dive, halfback stretch is already an audible, and then I'll go 26 duo. And so pretty much I'll come out in the power row, and I have 4 runs at my disposal here. So come out in 4-3, random 4-3 defenses. So you have the power row, you have the halfback dive, halfback stretch, and 26 duo. So pretty much you kind of want to just read the defense, look at what seems good. The stretch right here I would not recommend. right here, I'd probably say go duo to the right. Even though it tells you not to, a lot of times this is the kind of look that the duo, if you don't get block shedded, you can get pretty good yards on. Right there, the left side of the line just kind of collapsed and the guy came off the edge. But in this scenario, like right here, I would probably go stretch left. You go stretch left, try and get a block on the edge maybe. Right there, that's what I'm talking about. Stretches just sometimes aren't really my thing. But this is a formation you're not really, being fancy about it. You're pretty much advertising to your opponent, hey, I'm going to be running the ball, and it's just kind of up to you at the line of scrimmage to pick which run you think looks best. So right here, stretch right, Calais Campbell gets a block shed. So, not that you don't really come to this formation trying to be super successful with the run. This is a formation you come to, like I come to late in the game, if I have zero intentions of passing the ball and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to try and power forward for a first down or whatever, and try and burn my opponent's timeouts. Like, I'm not trying to, run this all game or whatever. This is just something for me to come out in. I have a lot of options. If my opponent's cheating one direction, like really, really badly, then I can make them pay for it because I have runs and, different options and whatnot. But it's not going to be, as you can see, I'm not getting many yards. It's not going to be a formation that you're going to come out in and try and be super successful out of, but it is a formation that you can come out in and just try and you have 3 or 4 downs, whichever you want to use, to get 10 yards. So if you're looking to get 3 yards of play, then this is a formation where you could get 2 yards right there, and then come out next play and say, okay, I'm going to try and get 3 yards right here. So snap the ball, bam, power it forward. Okay, we got 5 yards right there, and then you're at a 3rd and 3, and you're saying, okay, 3rd and 3, I'm going to go stretch left here, and I'm going to try and power it forward once again. So bam, and I get 2 or 3 yards right there. So it's a situation like that where you're just trying to grind out the clock, power forward for some yardage, and ice the game basically. So that's pretty much it for my scheme in terms of running the ball and red zone. Obviously, everything running the ball related can be translated to the red zone. You could easily run singleback wing tight, singleback wing, even the shotgun double Y flex off in the red zone. Running the ball is always a good option. It's a safe option. You're not risking throwing a pick or a pick six or not getting points. Basically, you're guaranteeing you'll at least get 3 barring a fumble. So obviously running is always good in the red zone, but I generally like to go for some high points and see how my opponent's trying to play that. And then if they're playing the high points very well, then I might say, okay, well, I'll accept my 3 and rethink my strategy next time or whatever and just run it. But just that's kind of my general philosophy in terms of the red zone, and that's the Dolphins playbook really doesn't have much, honestly, outside of gun bunch tight end. If they didn't have the best gun bunch tight end in the game, like basically the main reason I run the Dolphins playbook is because they have tight end corner. The Seahawks don't have tight end corner. So that's the only reason I run the Dolphins playbook, is because they have tight end corner and their gun bunch tight end. Other than that, I think the Seahawks playbook's better, just because the Dolphins playbook just doesn't have that much for me. They also have stuff like gun trips, tight end offset. I'm not a huge fan of that formation personally. I know a lot of people love it. If you watch Dreeny play, Dreeny last year loved it. I don't know about this year, but it's a popular formation that a lot of people like because you have the nice inside zone, you have the PA crossers and stuff like that. But I'm also running that out of gun bunch tight end already with inside zone and PA boot over, so I don't see a reason for me to go to gun trips tight end offset and run the same thing. So outside of bunch tight end, like I said, this playbook really doesn't have a ton. So that's why outside of the bunch tight end, it's pretty much limited just to red zone and single back running game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't watched the bunch tight end one, definitely watch that. That's more of the meat and potatoes of the scheme. That's what I'm in 99% of the time. So that's definitely the video you're going to want to focus on. This is the one if you're stuck in the red zone or whatever, or want to figure out how to run the ball. This is a better video for that. But yeah, definitely watch the bunch tight end one if you haven't already. And thank you so much for purchasing the ebook. As always, it's for a great cause for Eli and Taylor's GoFundMe. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting that. It really means a lot. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the ebook. I really hope it helps you guys out and gets you guys better at Madden. And just thank you so much for the support. And until next time, guys, take it easy.